Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a video on Picard Season 2. We have an update from Michael Chabon. Now, obviously, this is the man who famously came out and said he wanted to intentionally piss off and provoke people with Picard Season 1. So you can expect some great stuff for Picard Season 2. I'm sure you would agree. Also, straight off the bat, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. This video is sponsored by my short film. Yes, it's down below in the description box. Go check it out. It's a GoFundMe link. If you believe in me and want to support an original IP, horror, Vikings, Hellraiser, body, gore, practical effects, it's all there. You might like it. Check it out down below. But let's get into it, right? This is over on Banning Into Comics. I'll leave the link down below. Star Trek Picard showrunner Michael Chabon, motherfucker, made clear that fan feedback over the last few months has not affected where the story will go for a second season of this show. Which, gotta respect the man for, you know, doubling down on his firm belief on where he believes, on what he thinks the show should be in his own vision. Somewhat blinkered, but fine, you know. Respect to my guess in that regard. It's dumb. But, you know, respect the conviction at the very least. So in a wide-ranging interview with Variety where Chabon stated he wanted to piss off or provoke people, he also discussed a possible second season of the show. Now what epic statements were made, ladies and gents? I hear you ask, what epic statements were made? Variety's Adam B. Very asked Chabon about fan feedback to Picard and if it would inform how Star Trek writers would look at Season 2. Chabon made it clear that those reactions would not affect Season 2. In short, he said, no, not at all. Now, look, that's super dumb. It's super dumb from multiple levels. Like, respect a man for his conviction, right? Respect a man for his conviction. But, look, at the end of the day, if you're not going to listen to any criticism or feedback in any way, shape or form and not learn from it, then you're bad, right? You are bad. And of course, there's certain times, there's a time and a place for listening to feedback and criticism, right? Like, I will get people jump in the comments and just go, you're a F, Y, and Z, you're a knob, you know, all this kind of insults under the sun. And you go, no, I'm probably not going to listen to you. And then you get people going, oh, look, you know, I really like that you used to do these and used to do that, so, you know, it'd be nice to see some more of it. I go, oh, yeah, that'd be good, actually. I probably should listen to that. Or, conversely, you hear some things and you go, well, yeah, maybe, but, you know, times have changed and you move on. This guy is literally just going, nah, not at all. Don't worry about it, mate. Couldn't care less. Super dumb. Super, super dumb. To learn and grow, you have to take on some criticism. It's par for the course. It's not always nice, but you have to listen to it. You have to take it on board. It helps you become a better person, right? It really does. I made a microfilm the other day called Isolation, right? Tiny. It's like a minute long. And there was some great feedback about that short, of how to make it better. And I'm planning to reshoot it or like make another one, but better. You have to listen to some stuff sometimes. You have to. Now, he went on to highlight what he says the show is about and how the second season will continue that focus, right? So this is fascinating because he said what the show is. He said this is Star Trek, right? So what does he think Star Trek is? Because this is what he thinks Star Trek is. We're true to what my dear friend and collaborator and partner Akiva Goldsman calls the object. The object is Star Trek Picard, and it is a show with a nearly 80-year-old actor playing a 94-year-old man who is, if not in the final stages of his career, in the latter stages of career, who has a period of great dismay and disillusionment in his immediate rear view, who has allowed himself to let ties that were formerly very important to him slip or fade away, and who has now re-engaged with the greatly changed world in which he finds himself. That is the story we're telling. So is he just going to gallivant across the universe now? What does that tell us? That doesn't tell us anything. What are you talking about? The object is Star Trek Picard, and it's a show with an 80-year-old playing a 94-year-old who's basically at the end of his career. He's had you know, he's been disillusioned for a number of years, and now he's reconnecting with everything. So we're basically looking at a 94-year-old getting an iPhone for the first time. Alright then. He also made very clear that the story being told is reflective of what Stewart wants. I have said this many times. Stewart has story say. He has story say. He's done interviews where he says, no, I want Brexit included. I want to talk about Trump. I want this. I want that. Listen to this man. This is a guy that openly has admitted to wanting to irritate you. If he's saying it's to do with Stewart, he's not lying. So Stewart wants this in here, right? Stewart wants, and what Chabon believes makes for interesting storytelling, saying, we're telling that story because it feels both interesting and true, but also because it reflects the nature of our star and both his desires and his capabilities. So we're getting Star Trek from an 80-year-old, just an 80-year-old's perspective of the world. Was he libertarian? Probably. I don't know. Liberal. It's not a recipe for success. An 80-year-old, with the greatest of respects, generally speaking, isn't going to be that in touch anyway, right? And yes, there are outliers and things like that, I'm aware. But an 80-year-old is not going to be hugely in touch with the world. And an 80-year-old that has millions of dollars is definitely not going to be in touch with the world. Is he? No. So he then details that the show would never have been the Next Generation clone or even a true sequel to the Next Generation. They never planned it. They never planned it, ladies and gents. It was not ever going to be the Next Generation Part 2 in any way. It was never going to have a regular cast made up of LeVar Burton and Jonathan Frakes and Gates McFadden and Michael Dorn. It was never going to be set on the bridge of a starship in Starfleet. It was never going to be episodic in format. It was never going to be any of the things that TNG was. Now that's funny because he makes a comment of episodic in format. This show is so far from episodic in format. That's why it's so bloody boring. Get to the point. Because you've established something as having an overarching narrative, right? Like, you need to go episode by episode and tell this goddamn story. This is almost like an anthology. Because they keep inserting new stuff here, there, and everywhere. And they never go anywhere. Alright, Chabon added, not only couldn't it be those things if it tried, but it was going to try because that's not what we have to do. But it wasn't going to try because it's not what we have to do. Right, okay. So Chabon was then asked what Season 2 would look like, and Chabon, who will not be the showrunner for Season 2, which is laughable, because why do you keep talking about it then? Responded, it's definitely going to go into directions that we didn't see in Season 1. What? Good? He continued, I think we've been emboldened in many ways by the popularity of the show. Oh my god! I'm allowed! That's laughable, isn't it? The popularity of the show. Good lord, ladies and gents. Oh, it's so popular. Then detailing that the first season is pretty much a building block for everything after it. Chabon claims, I've only done this once, but I would imagine it's probably true for a lot of TV shows, especially in this era. Season 1 was in many respects about learning how to make Star Trek Picard. Well, you failed. Anyway, Chabon notes that they will only be doing more of what fans got in the first season. So if you didn't like it, just don't come back, basically. He makes the point by making a comparison to The Next Generation. It's in a way that I think was probably true back when The Next Generation and what I was talking about, everyone agrees. Once Riker grew the beard, the show got better. It was because they learned what they had, right? Okay, fine. Going forward, we're only going to be doing more of what we did with greater confidence and with a greater sense of what the show feels like when it's firing on all engines. Basically nothing. It's not firing on any engines. Oh my lord. What do you think about this big old turd blossom? That's what the show is. It's a turd blossom of a show. Terrible stuff. Absolutely terrible. Love to hear your thoughts, so let me know down below. I will, of course, be watching Season 2. You guys seem to thoroughly enjoy my reviews. And hey, they may cave to pressure, so it may get good. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. As always, though, I have been Mr. H. Take care.